Divine Horses and Humans. I'm Jason J. Divine, and you are watching the Naranja playlist. So, yeah, let's get the programming out of the way first. Like, comment, share, subscribe, run and tell a friend and all of that. Hit the description bar down the bottom for the nice list. Don't forget to check out our other channel for general sort of mindset. So here we are in the round pen, and basically this piece of content is about doing nothing with the horse. I've found in my experiences there's a huge value to it, huge value. And the only reason I know that there is because it's something I've done quite a lot of since I've been around horses, using horses to help me with my mental mindset or my mental well-being, is doing nothing. So what I started to notice was doing seconds of doing nothing. So like that would lead to minutes, that would lead to hours, and that would lead to days, and that would lead to weeks and months, and it all sort of racks up. So when I talk about doing nothing, I should not be moving my feet. I shouldn't be moving around, because if I move, right, Naranja will become aware of it, right? So like her ear's back here and she's just opened her eye wide open, right? And she's like, oh, what's going on? Because if you go and watch horses in fields, and you can watch them on YouTube or your own horses out in paddocks, you'll notice that they will just stand there doing nothing. Yeah, conserving energy for when trouble turns up. And that's what you've got to remember. Right, because you've got to remember, right, you know, everybody goes on about horses have to have a job and this, that and the other, right? But their sole goal is to survive. That's it. So we want feed, sleep, water, yeah, and conserve energy. So those feed, sleep and water will give them energy, right? So they just stand there just in case trouble turns up. If trouble has to turn up, I'll just sit here and I'll graze for a bit. And I'm just going to stand. Because why is it you'll see one horse looking that way, another horse looking that way, another horse looking that way, and they're all stood there with their legs cocked? Because it's a form of being relaxed. It's a form of we're all right. We're conserving energy for when trouble turns up. Sympathetic nervous system. Go learn about your sympathetic nervous system and go and learn about the horses, because they are hugely connected. And this is why I'm doing this content, because I would say I believe, no, I don't believe, I know that there's a huge hole in the British equine industry where there is no foundations in horses. I will no longer work in the industry because I've never experienced so many bullies. They led me into having a mental breakdown. And if a human being can bully another human being, and make no ifs or buts about that, they're quite good at that in the British equine industry. How would they treat horses? Dominate them, fear, pain, discomfort. And it's like, you see all these high-level horses that are ridden by some of the greatest riders in the world, and this, that and the other, and it just seems to be a full-on fight to me. They're trying to control something that is literally out of control because it's running for their life. It is running on cortisol, the flight, fight or freeze response. And if they can't fight it, they will try and run from it. If they can't run from it, they will try and fight it. And then eventually what happens is, and you'll hear this through the industry, right, they get cooked. They get cooked in the brain. And they just go, and then we go, oh, look at that horse, how calm it is. And it's a forced sense of security. That horse has gone so sort of inside, catatonic. It's gone so inside itself because I don't know what you want anymore, I can't get it right. I have met so many horses that they've worked it out. They've literally worked it out. One of the horses that I recently met, that this horse would just give enough to get away from trouble from the human being. She knew how to do her job, but she was still being micromanaged, right? So she was like a cross-country horse, and like they were micromanaging her, and they were still treating her like a foal, the way they were riding her. But they came to me because they didn't want to fight with her anymore, but they weren't prepared to give the horse its head. They weren't prepared to let go of the rein and let go of the control that they think they've got. Because one of the things, they were always doing something to the horse, yeah? Like there's a value in just grooming your horse, yeah? But if you can't get your horse to stand like that with you, right, and you have to put it in cross ties that I'm completely anti, because I've literally had my neck broken in half by one, because the horse just feels trapped again, and when it all kicks off, you're the one that's in the thick of it, and as I said, I'm the one that gets damaged, and that's why I no longer will work for them, and that's why I am being an advocate of this groundwork. That I'm a groundwork specialist, I'm a foundation specialist, I specialise in that area, because you've got all these specialists that do everything else in the equine world. Why not have somebody that specialises in the ground? Because there is no foundations, there is no groundwork, because you put that foundation into a horse on the ground, right, and somebody can ride that horse, and that horse knows you're going to get huge things done with that horse. So if you put an actual team effort together, like, and there is no I in team, let's get that right, yeah? If you put a team effort together and you have like a groundwork specialist like me that sorts things out on the ground, and then you sort things out and you ride in the saddle, you can come back to me and go, doesn't turn very good to the right. So we can go back to the ground and we can work on that. Instead of you getting in the saddle and trying to work it out in the saddle and it turns into a balls out fight, right, because there's something on the back that's putting them under pressure, you start getting frustrated, you start getting angry, you start getting fearful, it gets intense, the horse tenses up, and it all starts going even more wrong. But if we strip all the tack off, take the rider off and go to the ground and go, I want you to bend, yeah, this is what we're looking for, and then the rider gets that, they can see that they can do it and go, okay, we need to be like this, we need to free our leg up, we need to be more nonchalance in our brain, but we've got to have a plan of where we're going and what we're doing. And it's like, I'm talking, there's a value of doing nothing, but I'm doing so. I keep moving, I keep using my hands. I'm not just doing nothing. And as I said, she's sort of seen something else, but I'm not going to interfere with her. I'm not going to get after her. I'm not going to, like, she wants to look over there, that's fine. If she wants to stand there, that's fine. If she wants to look at the gate and look at her mates, that's fine. Because what I'm trying to do as well is I'm trying to, especially with Naranja. Naranja's had a lot of trouble with a lot of human beings. You know, Naranja's 42 years old, right? So you've got to show her some respect for that. But she's had a lot of trouble with human beings, right? And doing this, if I don't mess with her, touch her, do anything with her, she's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Can you see the sense in that? Like I said, if you've got that friend that you invite round to your house and you can sit there for as long as you like and not really have any conversation, but it makes you happy to be around that person because you just like that person's company, but you don't have to keep constantly, it's the same sort of thing. And then coming from polo and being a groom stroke groundwork guy, yeah, foundation guy, you're working with 6 or 8 horses. at a polo match, but you're always on the ground with them. You're always like got this thing going on, and you stand there and you wait on the sidelines with them to change horses, but there's nothing actually going on. And that's where I started to see a huge value in it, because if you work in the industry and you actually watch the polo pony you're with, yeah, and be with the horse, not in the game and with the play, with the horse, right? Huge things happen on the field, because you'll watch certain horses and they will watch what their mates are up to, or they're watching the ball or whatever, and they're the ones. If they do that, if they're all shut down and they've got a problem. And like my South American friend used to say, there's something very different with you and these horses. I don't quite know what. And I used to say to him, my whole intention was, and I've had this intention for a long time, is when I'm on the ground as a groom, I think is completely the wrong word, all about the horse. It's all about the horse. If I went out into other disciplines, other competitions, I would not leave that horse's side. If that horse was on its own, I would not leave it. I'm not going to go, let's go off and have a jolly up and leave it. No, I'm staying here with this. That's my responsibility. I'm like, that's why I think the word horseman comes from. Horse, man, yeah? You put the horse, you come at it from the horse's point of view, not the man's point of view. That's why the man comes second and the horse comes first. But I won't use that word because it's so blown out of proportion, like horsemanship is so blown out of proportion, because I can only ever say really, well, I haven't. I've never met anyone in the British equine industry that I could say that I would consider that they're a great horseman. Because I'm trying to come at it from a different perspective. And I'm trying to come at it from like motorsport values, principles and values, working as a team, and this area that's completely overlooked. So if you go to the BHS, the British Groom Association, the British Horse Association, they won't teach you any of this stuff. They will just teach you the way they've done it since a year dot. They might teach you a little bit of psychology about horses, but it's like the British Groom Association, if you're a groom, go and follow them, get involved with them. You could get a lot of stuff out of them for not a lot of money, and they're good at what they're doing. And they were the ones that put me onto the whole mental health thing. That's where I got it, and I thought I was the only one. And that's why I'm here trying to promote this better way of being with horses. And a lot of it is to do with your mindset. A huge amount of it is to do with your mindset. And if you can't get your mindset into check, and you can't talk about how you're feeling and your emotions, let's say I moved and made her move, but then she's got a bit stiff, look. Yeah, look, she's a bit stiff on the... That's why we don't leave her in a box, see? Because she gets real stiff. I'd rather keep moving around to keep herself loose, yeah? But then this is where I'm saying, this is where I'm like, she wants to go and do that, she can go and do that. I'm not going to stop her. I'm not going to micromanage her. And that's what else we are hugely guilty of as human beings, micromanaging. And we're very good at micromanaging people, and we are very good at micromanaging horses. And I think they almost mushroom management. And that's huge in the British equine industry. So that is basically, they feed you SH1T and they keep you in the dark about everything, because divide and conquer. And when you get something going with a client's horse, or the bosses, or whoever you're working for, they will come for you. They will come for you, and I've had that happen to me time and time again. Oh, you can do what you like with that horse, doesn't do anything, doesn't do it, and then you go and do it, and you get what they say that horse won't, and they will get the ump with you, because they don't understand the value of a foundation. All they know as groundwork is lunging and long reining. That's all they know. They don't understand that sometimes you have to get out the horse's way and let them be a horse, and you have to use what's naturally in them to get through that. So through them going through discomfort, they find comfort. Why is that? Because they go through this whole thing of producing cortisol. They move their feet, they can shift the cortisol just like you can in a human being. That's why they say to you, if you're suffering with anxiety, depression and all that, get up and move your feet, it'll make you feel better, because that is moving the cortisol out your system. Exactly the same for horses. Then you start producing serotonin when you're moving, same for horses. And then you're like, oh great, I feel so much better. And that's dopamine, same with horses. And that's when they go, boy, I'm not gonna die. And they start blinking and they start licking and chewing. That's the serotonin and dopamine being released. And now you've got a horse that's in a thinking place. And that's why I'm trying to show people there's a different way, and promoting this whole PEP, physical and emotional preparation for horses on the ground, bringing this motorsport psychology and philosophies of motorsport and bringing in another part that is severely overlooked. It is here in the British equine world, because everybody seems to be, it's the destination. You cannot win races until you have lost. Yeah, you have to come in last to come in first, and everybody in the British equine world wants to come in first. But they're not prepared to put the stuff in that's here, a foundation, a hole in the ground. I've dug a hole in the ground there because I've got some drainage problems. Right, that's a foundation. A hole in the ground is a foundation, and that's what you put a house on. If you put a house on bad foundations, it will just fall down. And that's why so many of these horses are wired, because they've got no foundation in them. Because all people know how to do is lunge and long rein. That's it. They don't understand anything else. And they wouldn't understand the value of me standing in here doing nothing, yeah? Absolutely nothing. She wants to stand over there, that's fine. And this is what I'm saying, this is what makes relationships. This is what makes a partnership huge. She gives me two eyes, so I look away. And she wants to move, that's fine. She wants to pick a bit of grass, but she's dealing with having the rope over her head, behind her ears. It's all good. There's teaching going on there, but she's teaching herself. And that's what you've got to do. And that's what I've said time and time and time again to people when I've got stuff done. I didn't do anything. I just got out of the horse's way and allowed them to do it. You have to make your idea become their idea and not push it onto them. Yeah, it's just like, okay, I've got a little bit, I've got more than what I had, and I'm going to accept that. But no, here in the British equine world, no, I want more. I want more, I want more, I want more. So if we put it to this way, if you're in the jumping industry or whatever, dressage or whatever, and you get that perfect, you're like, that last move that this horse gave me was perfect. No such thing as perfection, it's excellent. So we'd say it was excellent. So just stop, right, give them a rub, get off, strip them off, go and turn them out in the field. Don't put them in the stable, go and turn them out in the field and leave them alone. I'll guarantee you, you come back to that horse 2 days later, right, that will still be there, it will still be there, and it will be better than it was before. But you keep going at it and at it and at it and at it and at it, they will get so dulled off and so bored of you that they just go, I ain't doing this no more, get off, yeah, or I'm not doing it. I've met so many horses that are cooked, have shut down, and everyone's like, it's such a calm horse. It's not, it's gone introverted, it's shut down. And they're the dangerous ones, because they are like pressure cookers. They are just ticking away, waiting to explode. So that one, like, comment, share, subscribe and all that jazz. Run and tell a friend, go and check out our other channel, and we'll see you in the next episodes. All right.